Like and subscribe in the next 5 seconds, or this will be in your bed tonight. What's the most obviously fake fact someone has told you with complete conviction? Northern lights are reflections of moonlight when the wind blows. It was so poetic that I said nothing. It's sentences like this that taught me to smile, nod, and find an exit ASAP. I love hearing different explanations for things, even if it's factually wrong, and especially if it ain't hurting anyone. Makes me think about all the wonderful stories we had back in the day to explain the unexplainable. When I was in grade school, our teacher said the human digestive system was long enough to stretch around the earth twice. Someone tried to argue with her that she was thinking of the circulatory system and not the digestive, and she sent him to the office for disrupting the class, then proceeded to repeat this fact and go on with the lesson. If you stretch your intestines from earth to the moon, you die. Edit. Thank you for my first silver, kind stranger. Edit 2. Thank you for the gold. I would upvote this multiple times if I could. I snorted beer out my nose. Thank you. In health class in junior high, we were told that a man's penis could not be longer than 6 inches, and those in adult movies and such are fake. I believed this for years. When I turned 13, my dad gave me a book instead of the talk. The book said that was nearly impossible for a male to have an orgasm through masturbation. This was in the early 90s. Boy, have I proven that wrong. Author of the book: hey, we have a plan to stop teenage boys from masturbating. All the abstinence only peeps. Tell us, AOT. Okay, we'll tell them that no matter how hard they try, it's basically impossible. Kids are lazy, so they just won't try. Foolproof. At AOP. Genius. Hip hip hooray. Teenagers everywhere. Bet. Solar panels are causing global warming because they are reflecting the sun's rays back up to the sky. Oh boy, that is a lot of misconceptions to pack into less than 20 words. Queen Elizabeth has been dead for years. They use a body double because she didn't want Charles to become king. Did they try and explain how the body double fooled Charles? Shut the duck up, Charles, or you'll join her. Heard in the summer of 1976. The weather's gone crazy since NASA left all that stuff on the moon. To be fair, he's right. Although correlation equals causation. The obesity rate started increasing after the moon landings because we could harvest cheese from the moon. That Guy Fieri was the lead singer of Smash Mouth. I laughed, thinking he was joking, but he looked really embarrassed. I played it off like it wasn't that ridiculous of a theory and didn't bring it up again. Apparently the two are actually good friends, and considering how similar they dress, I can't really say I blame him for that mix-up. I mean, it's not true, but if Fieri jumped in there for a rendition of All Star, none of us would be surprised. Shoot, we might not notice. My grandfather is in his 90s and has gone off his rocker. In particular, he is adamant that the film Prometheus, yes, the prequel to Alien, is a documentary. Edit. Thanks for the silver. That's crazy. The only sci-fi movie that is a documentary is Terminator. Guys, seriously, stop making robots to duck with them. The duck is wrong with you? I don't want to duck with them. I wanna duck em. There are 10 billion people in China, my history teacher 3 years ago. I also heard this. The most infuriating this was that he argued this with me for like 10 minutes. I don't know how that used condom got in my toilet. The maintenance guy was up here and he used the bathroom. Maybe it fell off of him. Edit. Yes, it was at his house, and no, that is not the reason why my user is Sabnum. Because when I'm fixing things, I always have a rubber on and my dong hanging out, just to be safe. Got to wear a rubber at all times. It's a necessity. Edit. My most upvoted comment is a Lonely Island reference. Edit. I was not aware of r/award speech at its re. Mom convinced my sister that oven mitts had to match in order for them to work, because one was positive and the other negative. Edit. My mom. Sorry y'all. Edit 2. Thanks for silver. That is super cute. How long did your sister believe that? What makes you think she stopped? That his very sweet religious wife was cheating on him whenever he was at work. He could tell because she was always wet and loose when he wanted sex instead of being tight and dry like when they got married. That poor woman. Man. For real though, I wonder if she was just more interested in sex later on or more attracted to him than when they first married. He probably accidentally learned how to get her going. Black people have an extra muscle in their legs that lets them jump higher. This was told to me when I was a kid. That same muscle was what also made us run so well. All I keep hearing is how hard y'all have it, but then you're over here with extra muscles, big dongs, and skin that doesn't age. A guy randomly entered the conversation between my family because we were talking about crab apples. He tells us, "Hey, interesting fact. Crab apples get their sourness from the sting of a bee. Look it up if you don't believe me. Just thought I'd chime in." I couldn't decide if we were supposed to believe that a bee ducked a tree with its stinger and make all the apples sour, or that each individual one was stung. Beats me. He is confusing apples with figs, which do have wasps. Holy shit. Wasps, bees, ants, etc. are absolute banana land. Their life cycles sound like some futuristic dystopian novel. It takes 11 trees to make one piece of paper. How much does it really take? One tree makes about 8,300 sheets of paper, so 11 trees would make 91,300 sheets of paper. My mom told me that if I got an IUD, the souls of the children would surround me over time. My mom also told me that if you used a vibrator, it would stop you from ever having an orgasm from sex again. Oh, and she said that the only way you queef is if you're having abusively rough sex. So yeah, thanks but no thanks, mom. I'm picturing a mom walking past your open door with a laundry basket, and then popping back real quick to lay these small facts on you in passing, one at a time. Wear a sweater because cold nipples make your breasts sag. Dear, your whatever mom. Up in New York they got 32 feet of snow this weekend. Or was it inches? No, it was definitely feet. You should talk about that in your meteorology class today. Damn. Did the next ice age start already? No, it starts the day after tomorrow. Edit. Oh goodness. My first gold. Many thanks. Kind stranger. The spork is the devil's utensil because it is the amalgamation of the masculine fork and the feminine spoon and is trying to blur gender lines in society. I don't agree with sporks, but this is something else. I was fine until spork won Fork of the Year in 2016. My sister-in-law told me that baptizing a child closes their head chakra, and this calms them down because it closes their vision to other dimensions. This is the real reason why the Catholic baptism pours water on their heads and anoints the head with oil. Baptism is how they seal the nine-tailed fox within a newborn child. The virgin baptized cause tradition to enter heaven. The Chad baptized to stop interdimensional anomalies. There is no fluid in my manual transmission. They told me so at the dealership. It's a new transmission. You'd better put some in then or it'll eat itself. I didn't think there was fluid in a manual. I thought it was just grease. My uncle works at Xbox and will ban you. My cousin's uncle by marriage works at Nintendo and he said Mew is definitely under that truck. The US is exploding nukes underground to end China with earthquakes. Listened in on a conversation in the airport once where a guy was talking about how the USSR and the USA both developed weather controlling machines but made a treaty not to use them after the Cold War. He claimed Putin was breaking that treaty and is causing global warming to damage the US economy culture. Well, that's obviously bullshit. But it is in the Geneva Convention that we're not allowed to alter/manipulate weather patterns for military use. During Vietnam we flew hundreds of jets repeatedly through areas of high humidity to essentially seed and drag storm clouds back over Vietnam and increase the monsoon season by up to 4 months. Without paved roads and the added constant downpours it helped immobilize vehicles restricting troop and resupply movements. PaleoFutureGizmodo.com link. Edit. Spelling. Edit. Or, my first silver. Thank you kind stranger. I was designed by NSA. I'm sure it wasn't. Hey, wait a sec. Water boils at 32 degrees. Were they from space? No, they were just dumb. My 7th grade science teacher was convinced that the Grand Canyon was caused by a comet, not a meteor, a comet, and that sunspots were the shadows of other stars. She didn't last the year. I had a crazy bio teacher in 9th grade. It was her first year. She was a lawyer before she started teaching. I don't know how or why she ended up there. The whole year was a trip. But highlights include saying horses have hooves so they can catch their prey. From my friend in another period I heard she revised it to horses have hooves so they can run from their prey. She also got in multiple arguments saying the textbook and countless sources on the internet, all of which were in agreement, were wrong about obscure topics, like what a histone is. She was fired before the next school year, but TBH I don't know how she lasted that long. If you wear this copper bracelet, your body will eventually balance out and your aches, pains, psoriasis, thyroid problem will alleviate or get better. People with green eyes are able to do photosynthesis. I was in 9th grade and half the grade believed it. My grandmother has green eyes and she's a vegetable. Does that count? Had a buddy that liked to tell some pretty outlandish tales about his accomplishments. For info, he was 5 feet 8 inches. Probably around 160-170, not bodybuilder, but pretty big. Once said he picked up a 6 feet, 400-pound steel door by himself and held it over his head while he carried it. Once said he didn't blink for 1 hour straight, and that his mother was there and can confirm. For comparison, this is 12 minutes past the world record. If you Google it, it will come up with something in the 40-minute range, but there are links to someone doing it for an hour. Guinness doesn't keep track of this one, so I don't think there is an official record. He also says he has memories from when he was a year and a half old. He says he remembers the layout of his grandmother's house, and that she died when he was a year and a half old. My favorite one was when we were all talking about the most we ever swam. He piped up and said, I once swam 5 miles in an hour. For comparison, the fastest mile is 15 minutes and change, which means he would have been swimming at a pace 3 minutes faster than the world record for 4x as long. The world record for 1,500 meters race is 14 hours, 8 minutes, and 6 seconds held by Giorgio Poltronieri. That's a 15 hours, 9 minutes, and 82 seconds pace for a mile, which means he swam at a pace 3 hours, 9 minutes, and 82 seconds faster for 4.245x as long. www.wikipedia.org Wiki World Records Progression 1500 meters freestyle. Really wish I had called bullshit on that last one, but I am too non-confrontational. Edit. Today I learned you can probably actually remember stuff that young. Just pretty rare. Up for debate. If anyone can provide links to studies, that would be awesome. Still can't lift a door 3x your body weight. Edit number 2. Fixed world record stuff. To be fair, I go about 6 to 7 hours without blinking every night. Where's my medal? Nah dog, you start your blink when going to bed, then finish it when you wake up. So technically you were blinking the entire time you slept, just really slowly. Dinosaurs aren't real, they're just a trick the devil planted to lure people away from Jesus. What a duckin' weird way of tricking people. Like seriously, he went, oh yeah, giant ass lizards. That will turn people away from God for sure. The funny thing to me is that this is from a chick covered in tattoos and piercings, listens to metal, has been divorced, rides a motorcycle in cut-off shorts and thigh-high socks. She hasn't gone to church in years, yet somehow, Stodaya Learned thinks dinosaurs are fake and people who believe in them are like people who believe in the tooth fairy. It's mind-boggling. This one happened today. I'm self-made. I don't understand why others can't do the same thing. Beach, you're the grandkid of a millionaire. You had a private education, and you just forgot about and or disposed of everyone that helped you develop. I've even heard you shit talk people who helped you. It pissed me off so much to hear them say that. We grew up together. I know how good we had it. They were as self-made as a ducking McDonald's hash brown. Stealing this. I made it myself. My sister told me that tornadoes were sentient because only something with a brain could be that destructive and jump over houses. She was in her early 20s at the time. Brown cows produce chocolate milk. I heard that from my grandpa and I believed it till I was 14. 7% of adult Americans believe that brown cows produce chocolate milk. They actually did a study on that. The study concluded that 7% of all adults like to mess with pollsters. That the Girl Scouts were lesbian recruitment centers. Hence, I was not allowed to join in the 2nd grade. I love the idea that lesbianism is just a club you can join. Butter is great for you. It is slippery and just lines arteries and makes blood flow better. The dude put entire packets of butter on everything. It was disturbing. Don't mind me while I lube up my blood. My ex-wife kept telling me, I'm not cheating on you. I don't shit where I eat. She had been cheating on me for about 6 months and figured I would never find out. Wow, what a shit-eating trash monster. They just passed a law that makes it illegal to hang the American flag or say the national anthem in classrooms. He later admitted it was from a Facebook post he saw. Still believes it somehow. My ex thought caffeine was alive and could die, and that any coffee left sitting out for more than an hour was decaf. I knew she was wrong, but she said it with such conviction and so often that I actually started to believe her. We're running out of gravity. I read this as gravy at first and was actually concerned for a second. I was relieved to find it was just gravity and not gravy, aka liquid gold. This, insert homeopathic remedy, works. I read that as homophobic and imagined a shaman telling Brad he needs to suck less dongs and his lupus will go away. You can't get addicted to pain meds if you actually need them. From a family member that ought to know better. This delightful tidbit allegedly came from a retired nurse. Opiate addiction is such a hot topic and it's just another excuse not to have compassion for addicts. Oppose harm reduction. Ignore the role played by the medical system, etc. To be fair, that was literally what pharmaceutical reps would tell doctors and nurses back in the 90s and aughts. As long as there's at least one of ice on the pond, it's safe to skate on. You first. The world's gonna end in 2012. I worked in a video store, and our assistant manager said he saw early release of The Dark Knight online. This was months before release, and it had a post-credits scene where Joker meets Harley Quinn in Arkham. I was thinking, you know, we work in a video store and you know I will see the movie eventually, if not opening night. I will know you are lying to me for no reason. Don't buy baby carrots in a bag. They're coated with cyanide. This was the same woman who was putting a capful of bleach in her grandchildren's bathwater because she was afraid of them getting staph from ant bites. Well, to be fair, my son gets staph and the dermatologist told me to give him bleach baths. A tiny amount, capful or less of bleach in a full bathtub can be great for certain skin conditions, including staph. So Arp's mom wasn't really wrong on that. The baby carrots thing, though. There's people living in the center of the earth. He is an adult and he really meant it. Fun fact. His nickname is Barata, cockroach. That's because his surname is Aranha, spider, and a guy that just met him at the time called him cockroach by mistake. He shall be Barata forever now. My friend told me it reached 100 degrees Celsius in Australia the other day. I've heard about people frying eggs on the sidewalk, but I've never tried poaching an egg in the bird bath. My mom was convinced that putting chicken bones in the garbage disposal sharpened the blades. If you microwave your food, then you will get cancer. Car dealership. Salesman. This car has a supercharger. Me. No, it doesn't. I had done my research. Salesman. It does. It is why it has so much power. Me. No, it doesn't. Pop the hood. We look under the hood. There is not a supercharger or any of the other components like an intercooler that would accompany one. Me. I don't see a supercharger. Salesman. Well, it's in there somewhere. Edit. Cos can have systems that pressurize the air going in to increase its power. There are two kinds that are called superchargers. Both are belt driven. One looks like a large hairdryer. The other kind stand large on top of the engine. Turbos look like hairdryers too, but are not belt driven. Since half of you don't know what is, the stuff sticking out the top of Vin Diesel's cars in Fast and Furious are superchargers. But even smaller ones are rather obvious under the hood. imgur.com link. I had a friend convince another friend in our group that after Saved by the Bell ended, Mark Paul Gosselaar, Zach Morris was killed in a car accident. I knew right then that it was BS because Mark was on another show at the time and there was no news story. 2 years later, we were talking about that show and our other friend brought up how he still felt sad about Mark. We were puzzled for a second, but then we all started laughing at the same exact moment. He never thought to question what he was told, so he just went on with that knowledge. He was embarrassed I'm sure but laughed it off in style. iPod Nano is called that because it's the first consumer device to use nanotechnology. A preacher on the radio said, "God wants you to send your money to me." This complete nut job I went to college with told me that childbirth is rape because the woman didn't give the baby permission to be in her vagina. I didn't hang out with her after that. Porn leads to crime. Men have one less rib than women. Remember, because God took it out. Thankfully, the doctors treating her husband were better educated. The earth is flat. I remember my friend telling me when I was 6 that when you're asleep, you float. Kinda believed him too. My mum and dad are convinced there was a railway station in Princes Street Gardens in Edinburgh. I have found absolutely no evidence of it in the historical record. I literally have a degree in history and I have a long-standing interest in railway history. My mum claims my granddad told her of it, saying it was a single platform deal from when the railways were run by small companies. But still, it was not the same as Princes Street Station, a very real station that is on the west end of Princes Street, they say, but near the tunnels on the west side of the park. They also say it's mentioned in a book which they don't know the name of, but I haven't found it on any maps or documents or newspapers. Looking for that ducking station gave me a ducking aneurysm. They still insist there was one. That Pepsi contained aborted fetuses facepum and I'm related to this person. I even showed her facts upon facts that there was no way in hell Pepsi contained aborted fetuses. She still thought it was all a cover up. I watched her as all her friends bought into this BS, sharing it like wildfire. People like this is why there are warnings on shampoo bottles. Proof right there that a lot of people do not care about facts, only what fits their beliefs and agendas. That round bales of hay have been outlawed because the cows can't get a square meal out of them. Thanks a lot, Dad. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more interviews.